Welcome, everyone,
Morning.
and thank you for joining us for the launch of the Global DRS platform. Now we have lots of attendees here in the room listening to us. We are very glad. And we are thrilled to have people from all around the world coming together to discuss how the deposit and return systems can drive global change around the world. In fact, we have more than 400 registered attendees from 65 countries across all continents, as you can see now in the image that we are sharing. And among them, there are people from industries, governments, NGOs, consultants, and waste workers as well. And this is especially important because the vision of the platform is to collaborate to ensure that no containers end up polluting our planet. We are here today because, as you all know, plastic pollution continues to be one of the greatest environmental and social challenges of our time. And just think that 3.5 billion single-use containers are being sold every day, and most of them end up as waste. So with plastic production increasing and waste management systems struggling to keep up, we need highly effective and proven solutions. And that's where deposit return systems come in, helping to keep valuable resources in the loop, reducing pollution, and creating economic opportunities. And to address this topic, we'll also have an incredible lineup of speakers from different regions who will share their experiences and insights on the role of DRS in tackling all these challenges. My name is Martin Valese, and I am from Argentina. Hello and hola for those speaking in Spanish. And I will be your facilitator today, representing the Global DRS platform. My background is in circular economy and sustainability, and I'm excited to guide you through today's event. Before we begin, I would like to share 4 important points. First, that the session is going to be recorded for further reference. Also, that if you don't understand English, for example, you can choose your language in the interpretation button below. You can choose among Arabic, English, French, Indonesian, and Spanish. So any language you want to hear the presentations on, you just switch it from the interpretation button. Thanks to the translator team for this. Third, we will have a Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions or inquiries for the panelists that are going to be speaking, you just send them through the Q&A button, and we will make sure that we cover as many questions as possible at the end of the event. We also encourage you to register through the QR that we have shared before. We will share this in various occasions throughout the event, so you can connect with us, receive updates, or connect with the panelists who have spoken today as well. Now, before introducing our first speaker, a quick note for the panelists regarding time. They already know, but I will repeat it just in case. Each of you will have 5 minutes to share your insights. And this is, of course, so we ensure that we stay on schedule and so everyone has time to speak. And once you reach that time, I will give you a heads up and you'll have a brief moment to round up the thoughts and the insights that you are sharing. So now, to begin with, we will set the stage for why is this platform being created and what is its vision. And for that, I'm pleased to introduce Marc as one of the strategists behind the Global DRS platform. He is based in Brussels. He is the founder of Zero Waste Europe, which is a key organization in significantly increasing the visibility and policy impact of zero waste efforts in Europe over the past 15 years. And today he will share the vision and goals of the Global DRS platform and how it aims to work inclusively with DRS systems around the world. Marc, please, now the floor is yours.
Thank you, Martin, and greetings to everyone watching from around the globe. So excited to actually see such a big attendance today. Today, 9 out of 10 beverage packaging worldwide is ending up in the environment. And reversing this is the ultimate aim of this platform, to ensure that at least 9 out of 10 packaging worldwide is collected to be reused, recycled in an inclusive way. The Global Deposit and Return platform is dedicated to building a world free from product and packaging waste, and we work to ensure that DRS systems become the global standard for packaging and product management, promoting reuse, recycling, and social inclusion. In the coming 10 years, we will see many countries around the globe implementing extended producer responsibility schemes. And a very effective type of extended producer responsibility is deposit and return systems. This platform exists as a resource to ensure that when these deposit and return systems are implemented, they are designed in a way that includes reuse and single-use options in the most effective and socially inclusive way. And I would like to describe how are we planning to do this as a platform. First of all, the plan is to share resources and best practices from around the world. The website will be a resource hub where you will find studies and best practices about DRS, webinars, and other activities to build and share knowledge, as you can see in the screen. Secondly, we will do so by providing trainings on what is deposit and return systems and what they are not as well. Because the same as a separate collection can be organized in many different ways, there are no DRS systems that are the same. For example, many people, when they think about DRS, the idea that comes to mind is that of a machine where you bring your can or your bottle, you put it in and you get a deposit back. But a deposit and return system is a system, it's not a technology, and can work without a single machine. It is the local conditions which will determine what system will be used and whether machines are needed at all. For this reason, the platform will provide two trainings, one on what is DRS and how it works, and you can see it now in the screen, and another one about how to design a DRS system that suits your local conditions, which are different around the world. At the end of these two trainings, anyone having finalized them will have developed a model about how DRS implementation would look like in their local reality. These courses are available as from today in the Global DRS platform, in English, in French, and Spanish, and more languages will come. Lastly, the platform is a place to get the support that you need to design and implement a deposit and return system. Thanks to the extensive network of experts and partners, the platform can help organize all the technical, legal, and communicational support needed to design and implement successful deposit and return systems, no matter where you are. I would like to emphasize that this platform is a platform, and as such, it will not have members. It's not a campaign, it's not a coalition, it is a platform. And it will be open to anybody interested in learning and designing deposit and return systems. It is a place to get answers, but above all, it is a place to ask questions so that together we can build the collective knowledge that we need in order to address the waste crisis. What the platform does have, however, are endorsers and supporters. Endorsers are individuals, experts, practitioners, policymakers, and local leaders who endorse the purpose of this platform. Some are already there in the website, many more will join soon. On the other hand, we have supporters. The supporters are companies and institutions who support the mission of the platform and adhere to the support statement that you can find in the website. We have been in conversations with important players about this, and some big companies have already expressed support for the platform. And we hope to publish the list of supporting companies and institutions very soon. And we encourage those of you watching this to also sign up if you think that your institution supports this endeavor. All this information and more is available on the website of the Global DRS platform. And I encourage you to subscribe to the website to get news and be updated about the upcoming activities. This is all from my side. We look forward to engaging with you and making DRS happen, and look forward to listening to the incredible panel of speakers that we have today. Thanks, and over to you, Marc.
Thank you, Jean-Marc. Thanks for setting clear the vision of the platform and for the detail of how it's going to be working. And now let's take a step back to understand why are we launching this platform today. And to do that, I will invite Miquel Roset, to speak about the background work that has been done in the Global South with governments, industries, and civil society, and how the current global plastic crisis makes DRS more necessary than ever. Miquel is based in Barcelona and has co-led the Retorna political advocacy campaign in Spain for the implementation of DRS for the past 15 years. He has also collaborated with governments, environmental organizations, and companies on projects in Portugal, Argentina, Colombia, Uruguay, Bolivia, Costa Rica, and Chile, and now is also a strategist for the global DRS platform. Miquel, the floor is now yours.
Thank you, Martin. Now I will speak in Spanish, so whoever wants to switch to translation, it's the moment of doing so. Okay, yes, why this platform? Well, cada minuto, 2 millones de envases de bebidas de un solo uso se pierden en el mundo, en el monte Everest, en los campos elíseos, en las islas Galápagos, en mi barrio o en el vuestro también. Vender con un depósito pequeño resuelve este ingente problema. Entonces, ¿por qué la plataforma? Porque la cantidad de sistemas de depósito desplegados en todo el mundo aumentará exponencialmente durante los siguientes años. Van a haber más sistemas de depósito y más, y más, y más. El reto es conseguir que estos sistemas sean buenos sistemas, convenientes para todo el mundo, fáciles para los consumidores, eficientes para las empresas, convenientes para los recicladores y recolectores urbanos, para los gobiernos, para todo el mundo. No hay ni un solo sistema de depósito igual en todo el mundo y es crítico que el liderazgo sea local. Es indispensable. Es la única forma de hacerlo bien. La Global DRS Platform ha empezado a conectar los conocimientos, las experiencias, los expertos y los responsables de solucionar los problemas que generan los residuos globalmente. Lo hace globalmente, con la industria, con el comercio, todos los agentes implicados van a ir conectándose, ha empezado y van a ir conectándose a la plataforma. El conocimiento global más el conocimiento local, junto con un liderazgo fuerte local, va a garantizar la puesta en marcha de buenas soluciones, de buenos sistemas. 20 millones de latas, bricks y botellas se han perdido desde que ha empezado esta presentación. 20 millones desde que ha empezado. Por eso, cada vez vamos a ver más y más tiendas en todo el mundo. Cuando compremos un agua o un refresco, un jugo o una cerveza, nos pedirán una pequeña seña a cambio de devolver el envase vacío. En cualquier tienda, sin necesidad de presentar ningún recibo, simplemente trayendo de vuelta el envase vacío, la lata, la botella o el brick. Esta plataforma contribuirá, junto con muchas otras iniciativas en el mundo, a que esto se haga con éxito. Gracias.
Thank you, Miquel, for sharing these insights. I think it's key to emphasize again the importance of designing DRS systems customically, right, to the realities of local regions. That's a great point. And now we would like to invite our next speaker, Lucía Norris, from the Galápagos Conservation Trust. She will share real-world experiences of plastic pollution in islands and protected areas, and the crucial role that DRS can play in these unique ecosystems. Lucía is Masters of Philosophy in Conservation Leadership by the University of Cambridge, and she covers conservation, sustainable development, new economies, and resilience for the Galápagos Conservation Trust in Ecuador. Lucía, good morning to you. I think there is quite earlier. Thanks for being here today and welcome.
Muchas gracias, Martín. Yo voy a hacer mi presentación en español.
Perfect.
Primero, Gracias por permitirnos compartir nuestra experiencia en Galápagos. Hace más de 6 años, Galápagos Conservation Trust, junto con la Dirección del Parque Nacional Galápagos y otros aliados locales, formamos la red Galápagos libre de la contaminación por plásticos, porque teníamos el interés de entender de dónde venía, cuáles eran las fuentes de la contaminación plástica en Galápagos y cuáles eran los impactos de la contaminación plástica en Galápagos. Muy pronto nos dimos cuenta que este esfuerzo no podía ser solo local y formamos junto a la Universidad de Exeter la red Plásticos en el Pacífico de la Ciencia a las Soluciones, o PPSS por sus siglas en inglés. Y junto con el apoyo de esta red, después de 5 años, entendemos ahora o tenemos suficiente evidencia para entender qué es lo que está pasando en Galápagos respecto a la contaminación por plásticos. No les quiero aburrir con muchos datos, pero por ejemplo, sabemos que el 95% de la contaminación plástica que llega a Galápagos es de fuentes externas, solo el 5% se genera a nivel local. Sabemos que el 69% de toda esta basura son plásticos de un solo uso. De estos plásticos de un solo uso, sabemos que 1/3 son envases de bebidas. Y de este 1/3 de envases de bebidas, sabemos que 1/3 son botellas de agua. Entre las especies más afectadas por la contaminación por plástico tenemos al icónico tiburón ballena, a los pinzones de Galápagos, a las tortugas marinas, por mencionar pocas, porque en general vemos afectación en la mayoría de especies maravillosas que tenemos en Galápagos. La basura plástica no respeta las áreas marinas protegidas. A pesar de que Galápagos es un patrimonio natural mundial de la humanidad y de que en Galápagos tenemos unos estrictos controles para proteger nuestra biodiversidad única, el plástico llega a Galápagos flotando a través de las corrientes, ¿no?, oceánicas. Y solo el 5%, como les contaba, es de generación local. Pero inclusive si nos ponemos a pensar, este 5% de generación local también viene de fuentes externas, porque las islas importamos la mayoría de productos que consumimos, y estas importaciones llegan envueltas en empaques. El problema de esto es que luego estos empaques se convierten en basura y generan una presión muy grande a los sistemas locales de gestión de desechos, que son limitados. No tenemos muchos recursos para tener sistemas de gestión de desechos muy tecnificados, y esto no solo pasa en Galápagos, esto pasa en todas las islas con las que hemos podido conversar. Solo de acuerdo a la Universidad de Exeter, solo el 1/3 de la basura plástica que llega al centro de reciclaje se recicla. El resto va a los botaderos. Y como ustedes saben, el mundo es un lugar finito, pero más en las islas no podemos hacer cada vez huecos más grandes para más basura. Entonces, ahora que ya tenemos suficiente evidencia, lo que estamos haciendo en Galápagos con otros actores locales, con otros aliados, es apoyar a las autoridades a establecer sistemas, planes de manejo de la basura que llega por las corrientes, y también actualizar nuestras ordenanzas provinciales para reducir los plásticos de un solo uso y la contaminación por plásticos de un solo uso en Galápagos. Como parte de estas soluciones, estamos convencidos de que los sistemas de reuso y que los sistemas de depósito y retorno son gran parte de la solución. Así como otro dato, les contamos que el año pasado tuvimos la oportunidad, como Galápagos Conservation Trust, de conocer a nuestros amigos de Rapa Nui, y en ese momento nos dimos cuenta de lo importante que era para nosotros compartir con otras islas nuestras experiencias, de intercambiar conocimientos, porque tenemos realidades tan parecidas que son las que ahorita les estoy contando. Por ejemplo, otra realidad parecida es que el turismo es una base importante de la economía. El crecimiento turístico incrementa muchísimo la generación de basura. También el agua potable es un reto para todos nosotros, acceder a agua potable. Entonces tenemos botellas de agua, ¿no?, de un solo uso que en general están presentes en nuestras islas. Y otro dato importante es que en general en las islas nos hemos enfocado más al reciclaje en las últimas décadas, ¿no? Antiguamente había mucho reuso, pero ahorita en la actualidad estamos más enfocados en reciclar en lugar de reutilizar o devolver o de reducir o rechazar. En todo caso, en Galápagos tenemos experiencias locales súper interesantes. Hay iniciativas locales de retornabilidad de cervezas locales, botellones de agua, kombuchas locales. Hay una iniciativa que me encanta que se llama Iguana Cup, que te dan tu tacita en una cafetería y tú la puedes ir a dejar en otra y te devuelven el depósito. O tenemos un emprendedor local que transforma, esto era una botella de cerveza y transforma botellas de vidrio en vasos para poder reusar. Entonces hay mucho emprendimiento, la comunidad local realmente está tratando de buscar alternativas, hay mucha creatividad.
Lucy, kind reminder, 5 minutes, just for you to know.
¿Y en cuántos estoy?
5 minutes already passed. But you can continue a little bit to round up the idea. Yes.
Ya, ok, gracias. Entonces, en todo caso, en Galápagos tenemos muchas iniciativas locales de retornabilidad y también, por ejemplo, en el 2019, el Consejo de Gobierno de Galápagos hizo un convenio con una empresa tan grande como Coca-Cola y le pidió que solo tenga envases retornables en Galápagos, le siguieron Wittig, Pilsener. Entonces, solo para decir, ahora estos sistemas funcionan muy bien, más del 80% de los envases se retornan, se recuperan. Entonces, pensamos que hay mucho potencial y esperamos que se sigan esparciendo. Necesitamos soluciones de retornabilidad tanto en el continente, en las flotas pesqueras también, como a nivel local y tenemos mucha esperanza de que esta plataforma nos pueda ayudar a Galápagos, al Ecuador y a otras islas a seguir aprendiendo sobre estos sistemas. Gracias.
Thank you, Lucy. Sorry for jumping in.
Lo siento yo que me demoré más.
No worries. But it was really, really interesting. I think it's pretty clear that there's no one solution for everything, that there need to combine different types of solutions. The problem is not only local, it's global as well. So thanks for those insights. Now we go to the Philippines and we move to, sorry. We go from Galápagos to the Philippines, another place full of fragile marine ecosystems that must be protected as well, and where decades of single-use plastic proliferation have displaced traditional refill and reuse systems, unfortunately. So I invite you, Sonia. You have been at the forefront of the zero waste efforts in the Philippines as the chairman of the Mother Earth Foundation. And she will now share her insights from Manila, where it is late at night now. So good evening for you, Sonia, and thank you for joining.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Well, why we need to shift to reuse? Fossil fuel companies estimate that the total volume of plastic production ever produced will reach 34,000 million tons, over 4 times of current production. The Philippines use 165 million pieces of sachets every day. Well, human activities in residential and commercial areas lead to plastic waste ending up in waterways, especially creeks that feed into the Pasig River, eventually flowing into Manila Bay. Cities near the Manila Bay like Malabon, Navotas, Las Piñas, Parañaque cities are adversely affected by flooding. Litter is harmful to people, animals, and the natural environment. The major impacts involve the danger to public health, the risk of fire hazards, endangering of or even killing wildlife, and the serious damage to waterways. Well, 95% of plastic packaging is discarded after a single use. With more than 200 cities and communities practicing zero waste, communities exemplify zero waste by establishing systems for decentralized management of segregated waste while creating job opportunities. However, despite the very successful zero waste practices to some cities and communities, these are often burdened with plastic waste that they are not equipped to handle. There is a need for a national approach to create systems that remove packaging waste from the environment, like our reuse bill. This will be complementary to the EPR law of the Philippines. The invasion of single-use containers over the last decades has been displacing local zero-waste systems. A well-designed deposit and return system, or DRS, not only prevents packaging from turning into litter, but also brings funding to cities and creates new opportunities for waste workers. For a start, we have successfully partnered with communities, stores, and community eateries to adopt the reuse and refill system while integrating DRS to reduce the use of single-use containers. There are more than 1 million of these community stores and eateries. Well, opportunities: one, cultural practices, existing habits of reuse and bulk purchasing in many communities. Number two, cost savings, significant potential for cost reduction for consumers, retailers, and eventually products. Third, adaptable for remote geographies. Refills are especially suitable for mountain and island ecosystems with limited recycling infrastructure for single-use packaging. And fourth, we still have a good share of refillable packaging for soft drinks and beers, which need to be renovated and expanded. DRS will conserve resources, cost less water, and land pollution. Right now, we can start with DRS for soft drinks and beers. The challenges: one, scalability. Limited participation by popular brands in refill systems hinders scalability and widespread consumer adoption. Number two, lack of consistent refill policies create hurdles for refill business owners. And third, financing or investment, logistical limitations, and infrastructure gaps. Our recommendations: mandating reusables at event and for takeaway food. Two, prioritizing the establishment and scaling of drinking water refill models. Third, supporting community refill stores in remote areas and extending financial support, tax incentives, grants, and subsidies to reuse service providers. Fifth, designing a reuse economy that is environmentally sustainable, consumer-friendly, and economically viable is crucial, with a focus on integrating the skills of waste pickers and waste workers and other key workers within the plastic packaging value chain. And last, supporting national, global cooperation on reuse standards, which would enable development and scale up of shared infrastructures for returnable systems. There will be less litter and clutter in the Philippines, especially in urban areas, including the junk shops, if there are no single-use beverage packaging and a DRS system is in place. We have already formed the Philippine Reuse Consortium, and we are a member of the Asian Reuse Consortium. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. That was a really interesting speech. Especially the thought that we need to have a system that is designed for national approach, but also considering the community focus. I think that's a very, very relevant aspect as well. Now, from the Philippines, we are going to move to Abuja in Nigeria, where waste management challenges present both significant risks and opportunities. And our next speaker, Ahmed Tiamiyu, will discuss how DRS can create opportunities for local communities and improve both social and economic conditions. Ahmed is a research scientist and a chemical, waste, and pollution control policy expert. He is the executive director at Community Action Against Plastic Waste, a grassroots movement advancing a toxic-free circularity plastic economy for just, inclusive, and sustainable development in over 70 frontline communities in 21 countries across Africa, Asia Pacific, and Latin America. Ahmed, please take the floor.
Can you hear me? Thank you very much, Martin.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you very much, Martin. And good afternoon, everyone from Nigeria.
We cannot see you, Ahmed.
In here.
We can hear you, but we cannot see you.
Okay. Can you see me now?
Now we can see you. Yes, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, so good afternoon from Nigeria. It's a very beautiful afternoon here. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Interesting topic to discuss deposit return system and the benefits that this actually own, to every dimension of the society as we have it today, from country level to globally, and of course to the most important critical part of this value chain, which is at the community front line, who bear the most significant negative impact of plastic pollution. And obviously, you could have seen how plastic pollution has become a growing topic, so much that the United Nations Environment Programme, during the assembly in 2022, agreed on having a global treaty that actually ensured that there's a global binding, agreement to ensure that plastic pollution actually addressed holistically around the world. And of course, in this instance, is a very good topic of the deposit return system, like the one that we're discussing today. I'm going to be speaking from someone who worked with grassroots community in Nigeria and in many African countries, particularly in the global south, and the impact of this and how the DRS can actually change, can change this whole perspective of issues around plastic pollution. Still, every day is many vulnerable young people and women who have to walk several kilometers. This is the current assistance system, even though most of the players, including the industry, spend a lot of money to ensure that there's an effective recycling system, because we have this conversation with them every day, in different fora. But unfortunately, this is not happening because we do not have an assistance system that ensures that there's a just transition and there's a just, system that actually ensure that all of the critical pillars of sustainability are embedded, and that is what a DRS system can do. It can ensure that waste picking, for instance, for the waste picker community, it's not only a tedious job that they need to walk several kilometers only to earn less than $1 a day, but they can become a decent, sustainable green job for the future of the world. So this is what DRS system is going to change. For the local global south country, this is what is going to change, and that is why governments around the world, particularly developing countries, need to rally around this type of platform to ensure that it become not only at national level, but at sub-national and local authority can become implementable. Another thing, the opportunity that this is going to create is, of course, boosting local economy. We know in the context of global development, there's a lot of talk around local economic development and looking at the advantage of local economy for many people. And for instance, in Africa, there is a system, African traditional reuse system, that's been neglected over the year. With the introduction of this kind of DRS platform, is going to change all of this, because now we will see growing interest in reuse, and that will mean that local solution around traditional African reuse can also plug into all of this opportunity, and this will result in boosting local economy. For instance, one of the things we've seen recently in Nigeria is the depreciating in currency and losing of local opportunity and job for many young people. This will change because this is what has been happening in the last 30 years. But this will change all of this. We can go back to many of these opportunities, and they can actually be able to plug into many of these type of opportunity. And that will also mean that there will be a reduction in the time of health risk that people actually, suffer when they are exposed to many toxic chemical that is embedded in current existing design of plastic. So all of this will mean one thing to the local community and the informal waste speakers and the entire sector: a more robust health, less health risk, and of course more opportunity in terms of economic opportunity for many of the local people. And lastly, this will also ensure that there will be an accelerated impact in terms of transitioning to circular economy, real circular economy that is not toxic. Unlike, when we talk about circular economy, the definition can be many, but when we talked about systems, policy framework that will ensure that this transitioning is actually truly to circular economy, these are the kind of platform and opportunity that DRS will bring. I hope this will be a game changer, because I'm really very excited about this opportunity and what it means to the world. I hope everyone on the call is, and we can take this message and share further to everyone, particularly to policymakers. We need to continue and start designing policy in a way that they embedded DRS and reuse to ensure that we have a future that is truly sustainable, inclusive, and just for everyone. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you for that. Just one comment. There was a little bit of interference in the sound. I will ask you, Ahmed, if you can stay at the Q&A without the camera, so we don't have problems with the sound. Now, actually, it was working better, but in the first minutes, it was a little bit fuzzy, the sound. But thank you for sharing this perspective on just transition and how it can integrate waste workers. I am sure that there's a lot of people who will want to make some questions regarding that, so please stay there for the Q&A session later. So we've just heard about how DRS can potentially empower local communities in Nigeria. Now let's look at Uruguay, where for the past 36 years, El Abrojo has been working with people at risk of social exclusion, helping them access training and jobs. Leonardo Seijo, a sociologist, along with his colleague Pedro El Prato, a social psychologist and founder of El Abrojo, will share with us insights on how DRS can create fair employment opportunities and foster a just transition. So, Leo, Pedro, buenos días a los dos y bienvenidos. Welcome to...
Buenos días, ¿cómo están? ¿Se escucha bien allí?
We hear you perfectly well. Te escuchamos muy bien. Sí, sí.
Bueno, vamos a hablar en español y estamos controlando el tiempo aquí porque conocemos a Martín. Tenemos 5 minutos, es poco el tiempo. Vamos a ir específicamente a hablar sobre temas de inclusión social. Es mucho más amplio. Queríamos hacerles un breve raconto porque nuestra organización siempre tuvo el tema de la inclusión social como un asunto de extrema importancia, y en particular en América Latina estos temas vinculados a el reciclaje, la gestión de residuos en realidad presenta serios problemas de inclusión social. Entonces, capaz que Pedro nos puede hacer un breve raconto de esa historia de la organización y después nos metemos rapidito en algunas consideraciones.
Bien, buenos días. Gracias por la invitación a la red. Buenos días a todos, a todas. Bueno, nosotros somos una organización que hace 36 años trabajamos en Uruguay. Básicamente nos movemos a partir de los distintos emergentes sociales que van apareciendo en la sociedad. En el año 95 empezamos a trabajar en temas de formación sociolaboral, vinculado fundamentalmente a temas de inclusión social. Y como otro emergente que surgió en el tiempo, los temas ambientales emergieron con fuerza, y a partir de 2006 también empezamos a trabajar los temas ambientales, socioambientales en realidad. En ese sentido, bueno, una de las ideas fuerza que fuimos encontrando en el camino fue que justamente los problemas ambientales de alguna manera generaban oportunidades laborales, oportunidades de desarrollo económico, para colectivos que justamente estaban en sectores vulnerables. En ese sentido fuimos trabajando en distintos aspectos vinculados a lo socioambiental y la inclusión social, tanto desde la eficiencia energética, desde la pesca artesanal, desde los temas de residuos, de cómo ir incorporando de alguna manera la inclusión social también en los temas verdes. Y bueno, eso efectivamente a partir de la llegada o lo multiactoral como un eje necesario, donde de alguna manera había que responsabilizarnos entre todos de los distintos problemas que se generaban.
En ese sentido, nosotros decimos, para que exista la oportunidad tenemos que asumir que hay un problema y que tenemos que resolverlo. Y el problema no es individual, es colectivo. Esa asunción, asumir eso, ofrece la oportunidad para estos sistemas, de nuestro punto de vista, de poner en valor las soluciones que encontremos. Si no se ponen en valor, no funcionan. No hay oportunidad, porque no estamos asumiendo nada. Es un asunto marginal, es un problema de otro, la empresa hará todo lo que pueda para bajar costes, no importa, o el propio Estado en su gestión. Asumirlo requiere una serie o tiene una serie de características para que la oportunidad suceda. Y como estamos con poco tiempo, queremos poner algunas características, algunas pinceladas de estos sistemas para que la oportunidad con inclusión social suceda. En Uruguay, la ley establece la obligatoriedad de considerar y priorizar la inclusión social a la hora de pensar toda la gestión de los residuos. Entonces, este sistema, a nuestro entender, debería abordar al mismo tiempo un aspecto que tiene que ver con dignificar la tarea. Si valoramos la solución, la necesidad, porque lo asumimos, la tarea tiene que ser digna para quienes la llevan adelante. Tiene que tener valor social y, por lo tanto, económico. Hay un aspecto clave que ahora, Pedro, te vamos a pedir un minuto sobre aspectos de formación, de generación de capacidades en esta población y demás, porque no alcanza con dar valor a algo, hay que tener las capacidades para llevarlo a cabo. Para que la inclusión exista, tenemos que pensar en capacitar a poblaciones que por ahí necesitan más herramientas o elementos, pero eso no alcanza porque además debemos tratar de que sea sostenible. Y para que sea sostenible necesitamos participación social y rendición de cuentas. No podemos estar corriendo a la gente para que cambie su conducta, tenemos que convencerla que cambie su conducta, tenemos que convencerla que la gestión de los residuos y los envases en particular son importantes. Entonces, esto nos permitiría, tanto rendición de cuentas como participación social, sostener el valor social y económico que queremos darle con el sistema. Y además, construir viabilidad política. Porque si las cosas no tienen valor social, no van a tener viabilidad política en el mediano o largo plazo. No tendrá sentido destinar esfuerzos públicos o privados si políticamente, si socialmente no tiene valor. Y en particular, Pedro, si puedes darnos una pincelada de esas características de formación, porque no es una formación clásica, es adaptada, estamos hablando de unas poblaciones particulares, en contextos laborales, así que...
Sí, ahí, bueno, justamente tratar de cruzar lo que generan las oportunidades socioambientales con población o colectivos vulnerables implica un desafío muy importante donde realmente hay que tener una voluntad política de querer lograr cambios y hay que destinar recursos para eso. No se hace de manera sencilla, incluso en algunos casos hasta habría que pensar en modelos compartidos de subvención con el Estado. En la medida que algunas actividades económicas de estas no son totalmente rentables. Pero sí, cuando pensamos en colectivos vulnerables, nos lleva a invertir necesariamente en varios años de capacitación, de formación, de acompañamiento en distintas competencias, sean competencias para el trabajo, desde la simple, pensando desde la perspectiva de la dignidad del trabajo, ¿no? Donde podamos cumplir un horario, poder tener un trabajo decente, tener condiciones, tener protección social y estar en las condiciones óptimas como cualquier trabajador. Poder llegar a eso, a nosotros en algunas experiencias nos implicó 6 años de trabajo con colectivos de sectores vulnerables para lograr que se constituyeran como cooperativas de trabajo que se podrían autosostener a partir de lo que generan en la propia en el propio reciclaje de los residuos. Y eso a partir también de mucho apoyo con el Estado. Entonces, ahí capaz que quisiera dejar, porque así después le dejo a Alejandro para que pueda redondear este aspecto. Gracias.
Nos pasamos, pero no mucho, Martín.
Muchas gracias. Thank you, Pedro and Leo. I was really, really good in time. I think there's a lot more to speak about this, and it's very interesting, but I'm sure we will have some time also in the Q&A session. This multi-stakeholder approach that you are talking about, and the fact that the problem is not a problem of an individual, but it's a collective issue that we need to think about holistically. I think it's really important. And now we will start with Alejandro Nario, who is the former Secretary of Environment and the actual National Director of Environmental Quality and Assessment in Uruguay. He's based in Montevideo. He's a chemical engineer and has been heavily involved in the Uruguayan DRS system that is going to be probably launched during the next year. Alejandro, bienvenido. The stage is yours now. Ale, ¿estás ahí?
Hola, ¿ahí?
Perfect. Now we hear you.
Thank you. Muchas gracias, Martín. Voy a hablar en español. Agradecer a la plataforma por la invitación. Un saludo para todas y todas desde Uruguay, al sur de Sudamérica. No me voy a extender mucho, pero queda claro que la política de economía lineal está forzando los recursos a nivel global. Y dentro de eso, sin duda que lo del plástico ya alcanza dimensiones insostenibles ayer. Desde esa lógica, y no voy a abundar en números que ya han estado planteados en las otras exposiciones, queda claro que los sistemas de depósito-reembolso son una herramienta clave para poder gestionar el plástico y otros envases de un solo uso, como las latas y el vidrio, en una clave de circularidad. Para nosotros eso es muy importante, incorporar como una política general de circularidad, porque ahí incluye aspectos de reuso, hay aspectos de retornabilidad, de cadenas de reciclaje y obviamente de eficiencia en la recuperación, pero también en canales de salida adecuados para los materiales que se van captando. Veo como muy positiva la estructuración de esta plataforma, porque nosotros cuando abordamos la implantación en Uruguay de un sistema de depósito-reembolso, contábamos con información básicamente de sistemas en el norte, hay muy poca información del sur global. Lo planteaba Marc, lo planteaba también Miquel. Son realidades culturales y socioeconómicas absolutamente diferentes, y eso nos generó un montón de desafíos que después les voy a estar comentando, que sin duda son particulares, y que si queremos avanzar en estos sistemas en el sur global, como decía Miquel, que es un convencido de que el sistema va a avanzar, tenemos que superar algunas barreras y tenemos que trabajar entre los implantadores del sur global, y la plataforma creo que tiene un rol muy importante ahí. Nosotros como cuestiones claves, por lo menos vemos dos aspectos. El primero es el rol del Estado en la normativa y legislación necesaria para desarrollar estos sistemas. Uruguay en el 2019 generó una ley de gestión integral de residuos, donde los aspectos vinculados a la red ya estuvieron incluidos para esta corriente de residuos y para otras, de manera general, la obligatoriedad de los comercios en recibir los materiales, un montón de aspectos normativos. Como también decían los amigos del Abrojo, tiene un capítulo entero de inclusión social y establece competencias claras, reglas de juego, y eso nos permitió, a la hora de avanzar en el sistema de depósito-reembolso, tener muchos aspectos avanzados. Una ley que estuvimos 3 años discutiéndola con todos los actores involucrados y con todos los stakeholders, lo que permitió un proceso legislativo que obviamente, como todos imaginan, tuvo sus lobbies, pero permitió tener una fortaleza porque había sido construido con la sociedad civil y el sistema político, el sistema empresarial y el sistema de las organizaciones de trabajadores del Uruguay. Por lo tanto, lo primero que uno, de mi punto de vista, debe abordar es un robusto proceso de normativa y legislación que debe ser construida de manera participativa para poder anticiparse a algunos aspectos de lobbies económicos que siempre todos sabemos que existen en estas reglamentaciones. Lo otro que es claro es el financiamiento, el sistema, hay que tener claridad respecto a eso. Nosotros vemos dos caminos. Nosotros en la ley, además, para el tema de envase, veníamos de 13, 14 años de un sistema REP que no subía del 4% de recuperación. Entonces, además del sistema REP, le dimos al Estado la potestad de generar un instrumento económico ambiental que financie el sistema como alternativa a la REP si el REP no funciona y que permita financiar un sistema de recuperación de envases alternativo a la REP si la REP no funcionara. Yo creo que eso fue un buen catalizador para que la REP avance, porque bueno, hay una espada de Damocles ahí que puede ser utilizada por el Estado, que entiendo fue positivo. Pero es claro, por lo menos yo lo veo, que hay, lo que nosotros hemos estudiado, hay dos vías. O a través de la normativa se define un sector de envases o una corriente de envases que va a estar alcanzado por un sistema de depósito-reembolso. Hay varios ejemplos europeos de eso, donde hay una normativa específica sobre la temática que reglamenta y regula, o a través de un sistema REP con metas claras, concisas y que obliguen a través del REP a un sistema de depósito-reembolso, porque los niveles de recuperación solo pueden ser alcanzados en su globalidad si hay un sistema de depósito-reembolso. Si yo pongo metas muy bajas, no voy a conseguir un sistema de depósito-reembolso, pero si pongo metas como las que se estableció en Uruguay de un 50% de recuperación en un plazo relativamente corto, bueno, podrán convivir los dos sistemas, pero necesita algo con eficiencia de arriba del 90% para una de las corrientes principales, como son los envases de un solo uso, que es el caso de Uruguay.
Ale,
Sí.
Ya van 5 minutos. Te
Sí.
aviso, te queda un ratito más.
Dale. Como para finalizar, un punteo breve de algunas barreras que nosotros vimos. Construir confianza entre los actores privados, que son los que financian, participación del sector comercial, posicionamiento de las partes que financian, planteando otros sistemas que dicen que lo traducen como más barato, pero que en realidad son ineficientes. Siempre ponen arriba de la mesa otros sistemas y no el sistema de depósito y reembolso, prometiendo eficiencias similares, pero sabemos que no lo son. Barreras culturales, madurez de las políticas de residuos en cada ciudad o localidad y pensar el sistema de depósito y reembolso en un marco de la gestión de envases más generales. Y por supuesto, en el sur global, el tema de clasificadores e inclusión social es una barrera enorme que hay que abordar. Nosotros aprendimos mucho sobre eso. Estamos francamente en contra de que el pago de las tareas de los clasificadores sea por la venta de materiales. Eso genera mucha inestabilidad. Nosotros estamos convencidos que es una tarea, un trabajo digno, como decían los compañeros del Abrojo, que debe ser remunerado como cualquier trabajo y no basarse en una volatilidad como es el precio de los materiales. Y además hay materiales que no tienen valor, pero que hay que recuperarlos. Y si uno solo carga el ingreso económico en la venta de materiales, es injusto para los clasificadores y además no recoge todos los elementos. Por último, para redondear, el sur global no es igual que el norte. Necesitamos cooperar entre nosotros, tanto a nivel personal como el Ministerio de Ambiente y como Uruguay. Estamos disponibles para trabajar con los países hermanos del sur global y obviamente también los del norte, pero principalmente los del sur global, porque creo que esas lecciones aprendidas es lo que nos puede dar una fortaleza en el crecimiento de estas herramientas. Perdón si me extendí, pero bueno, es un tema que me apasiona.
Thank you. We can see that you're passionate about this, Ale. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, the multi-stakeholder approach you are suggesting, involving all the actors from the beginning, from the moment that you're starting to talk about the legislation, is crucial, because then otherwise the design of systems don't fit everyone involved in this situation. So thanks for sharing that. There's going to be probably some questions and comments that we will share then in the Q&A session. Thank you, Ale. I know that you have to leave now, right? At 11 your time. So Ale will probably leave.
Exactamente, es lo que iba a decir. Disculpa, pero tengo una reunión con el ministro que no pude reagendar por razones obvias.
He will meet the minister now, but if there's questions for him, we will save those questions and we will share those with you, Ale, if that's okay. So then you can respond them and we can share it with the persons who are asking those. Thank you for being here.
Por supuesto, a las órdenes.
Thank you, Ale. And now let's move to Indonesia, where small-scale reuse initiatives are providing solutions with rice systems approach. PISA Mafira from Plastic Diet Indonesia, a non-profit organization that focuses on advocating for policies to reduce single-use plastic waste in Indonesia, will share the experience on how DRS can empower communities and drive system exchange. PISA is a public policy expert with a history of working in the government, commercial, and non-profit sectors. PISA, now the floor is yours. You can unmute yourself.
Thank you so much, Martin. And I love that we're moving around the world here. We're scanning, we're spanning the entire globe. And it really goes to show that the reuse initiatives and DRS have been proliferating around the world, which is great news. I thank you for the introduction. I'm with Plastic Diet Indonesia. We're also a proud member of the Asia Reuse Consortium and partner of the PR3 Global Alliance to Advance Reuse. And as you might be able to tell, we're very passionate about advancing reuse. And the goal in our vision for reuse is that packaging is reused as many times as possible. Reuse, 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 and then recycling. So when we're talking about a system like that, then we have to consider that reuse has two halves, right? That make the entire circle. That make the entire circle. The two halves of the circle are, first, you have to design for reuse. That's the product design. It has to be safe. It has to be, be able to be disassembled and washed and durable. You have to design the product itself for reuse, the packaging itself for reuse. But we see lots of packaging that's labeled reusable. We see lots of packaging that's labeled recyclable. It does not mean that it actually gets reused or recycled, because you have to design the second half, which is the system, to make sure it really does get reused. And there's a hardware to the system, the physical infrastructure. There's, you need reverse logistics, you need washing facilities, but there's also the software, or what I call the software, or the enabler, which is what incentivizes customers to return the packaging. What incentivizes the distributors to want the packaging back, right? So this is where deposit return schemes play a role. We cannot do this. We cannot incentivize the return of packaging and empty products without deposit return schemes. And I'm here to share how DRS can support, or has been seen in support of small-scale reuse initiatives. And even though they're small-scale reuse initiatives, they demonstrate scalable solutions, and it contributes to a broader ecosystem of reuse systems. So here in Indonesia, and actually throughout Asia, we have a lot of hands-on experience with reuse initiatives. I mean, it's part of our culture. It's part of our local knowledge, actually. Drink vendors, food vendors in the past, maybe a little bit less now, a lot less now, but in the past have always used reuse systems, have always used reusable receptacles. Even till today, in Indonesia, water gallons, the primary method for purchasing water, drinkable water, in Indonesia is through the purchase of water gallons that are, after it is finished, it gets returned to the place where we bought it from, and we get a deposit back. which we can use for our next purchase of water gallons. And this is a system that's been going on for decades, at least 4 decades, right? So we're familiar with the deposit return scheme. It's not something that's new, but there's no reason why we can't see this happening, you know, beyond water gallons. There's no reason why we can't see this happening to replace all of those sachets, to sell shampoos and soaps and ketchup and oil, you know, everything. There's no reason why the same reuse system with DRS can't be used for all of these products. So these could be scaled up if we had more widespread use of deposit return schemes, and if we understood better all of the forms of deposit return schemes that are possible. And this, you know, could happen if we had more cross-learning across different jurisdictions and across the world that utilize deposit return schemes. So just to reiterate Jean-Marc's point very early on in this session, deposit return schemes is not just a fancy vending machine, right? That's probably what you might find in Europe or in the global south. But in Asia, the examples vary. In Indonesia, I already mentioned the gallons, the water gallons example. It's basically a deposit when you buy it, a cashback when you return it. We're seeing it in e-commerce as well, where if you sit in your home, you buy something online, the thing gets delivered to you. And when it's empty, at the point that it gets collected by the same distributor, you get a cashback. So when you do your next e-commerce purchase, when you do your next online purchase, your new goods come at the same time as your empties get collected, and then you get a cashback, right? So that's also happening already in Indonesia. There are waste banks where you can go to deposit your waste and you can deposit your reusables. You get collection points, you get, you know, cashback, and a lot of those waste banks utilize, are involved waste pickers as well. And you have methods where you can go to a mini market or the local store and you get reward points or discounts for your next purchase when you return bottles. So as you can see, it's diverse. None of these are high tech. None of these are particularly high capital, but they do involve a heightened connection and loyalty building between the store and customer, which is really, really important. Because at the end of the day, what it delivers is convenience and cost cutting for consumers, right? So that's the most important thing for this to scale. So I really support the DRS platform to encourage learning and the more widespread use of deposit return schemes in all of its forms to all communities around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Tisa. I was about to enter, but you just closed perfectly well in time. Thank you very much for sharing that. Now we are going to have some final perspectives from Senegal. We're moving to Africa, where Farima Tidjani from Zero the Heads Senegal and Gaia Africa will talk now. She has an engineering background and has been an entrepreneur on various local projects during the last years. She will discuss her hands-on experience in reuse projects at a local level, their benefits, the challenges they face, and what is needed to scale them up. Farima, please welcome to the floor.
Bonjour à tous, j'espère que vous m'entendez dans la bonne langue. Oui. Donc, bonjour à tous, moi je fais partie de Gaia et en ce moment je suis au Sénégal. Je travaille aussi avec les entrepreneurs, donc je vais un peu apporter une touche entrepreneur, mais avant de commencer, je voulais dire que je suis très jalouse de Tisa et de ce qui est possible de faire en Indonésie. J'espère que ça va bientôt être le cas au Sénégal. Donc, nous, aujourd'hui, on a des difficultés avec le réemploi parce qu'au Sénégal, dans les projets actuels, le réemploi, il coûte très cher. Donc, les entreprises, elles sont toutes seules. Elles ne sont pas en consortium. Et donc, du coup, quand elles essayent de mettre en place des projets de réemploi, ça coûte très, très cher parce que c'est encore à petite échelle. Donc, j'ai des exemples, par exemple, d'entreprises comme Club Chosan qui ont essayé de mettre en place des réutilisations de bouteilles de lait en verre, etc., et qui ont dû arrêter parce que ça coûtait trop cher de faire la logistique de retour. Ça, c'est un. La deuxième chose, c'est que c'est compliqué pour eux de nettoyer. Donc, on a des exemples de restaurants qui ont arrêté de faire des réutilisations de paille, etc., parce que en cas de rush, quand il y avait beaucoup de monde, c'était compliqué de tout nettoyer. On a même une entreprise qui s'appelle Paille Tifa et qui donne des pailles réutilisables faites avec une herbe locale qui s'appelle le Tifa et qui est obligée de récupérer les pailles utilisées dans chacun des restaurants pour les nettoyer eux-mêmes et les redonner au restaurant. Mais vous imaginez bien que ça coûte très cher en termes de logistique. Donc, malheureusement, on a encore beaucoup de consignes au Sénégal et de petit à petit, ces consignes sont en train de disparaître. Par exemple, on a l'exemple de Coca-Cola qui a été consigné jusqu'à il y a 2 ans. Et il y a 2 ans, ils ont décidé d'arrêter les consignes et maintenant, on n'a plus que des bouteilles en plastique et des bouteilles et des canettes en fer. Donc, pourquoi tout ça? Pourquoi on n'arrive pas à rester dans le réemploi? Parce que la première chose, c'est qu'il y a une manque de collaboration multi-acteurs. Donc, comme je vous disais, ça complique la logistique, ça complique le nettoyage, il n'y a pas de garantie de propreté et on n'a pas une constance de l'approvisionnement qui est tout le temps fluctuante. Des fois, il y en a, des fois, il n'y en a pas. Donc, au Sénégal, nous, à Sonia, on essaye de mettre en place des projets de systèmes communs où on va avoir différents individus qui font le même travail et qui vont se regrouper en consortium pour pouvoir avoir des contenants qui peuvent passer d'une personne à l'autre et pour ne pas, eux, s'occuper de la logistique, s'occuper du nettoyage, etc. Et donc, on est hyper content de voir qu'il y a des plateformes comme Global Deposit and Return System qui se créent parce que justement, toutes ces barrières qui sont créées entre la différence entre l'usage unique et le réemploi vont être gommées. La logistique va se mettre en place pour les deux. Donc, ce ne sera pas une logistique qui sera mise en place seulement pour les systèmes de réemploi. Tout le monde va devoir rendre ses emballages. Ça fait qu'on va mutualiser les coûts de collecte pour tout le monde et pour l'usage unique et pour la réutilisation. Et donc, ça va les mettre au même niveau. En les mettant au même niveau, ça va aussi aider par rapport à la sensibilisation des citoyens parce qu'ils vont juste être habitués à reprendre des emballages, à les rendre, à payer une consigne et on ne va pas leur dire c'est pour ce système qui est bon pour l'environnement que tout à coup on vous demande de le faire. Non, ils vont le faire pour tout. Et donc, du coup, ça va gommer toutes nos difficultés par rapport à la mise en place du réemploi. Et c'est pour ça qu'on est très content que cette plateforme se mette en place et on est très content de pouvoir commencer les projets au Sénégal par rapport à ça. Et enfin, ce qui est aussi très intéressant dans cette plateforme, c'est que c'est une plateforme qui nous propose des outils, mais qui insiste sur le fait qu'on doit l'adapter localement. Et du coup, en l'adaptant localement, des associations comme nous qui travaillons avec les populations vulnérables et spécifiquement dans ce cas avec les ramasseurs de déchets, on pourra les intégrer dès le début dans la conception des projets qui seront accompagnés par cette plateforme et être sûr que on pourra les compter à l'intérieur, leur donner une transition, leur proposer une transition juste, leur donner une place à l'intérieur du système et surtout accompagner des reconversions ou des formations pour qu'ils puissent être partie intégrante du système. Voilà, ça fait 5 minutes pour moi.
Thank you, Fatima. Thank you very much. Thanks for sharing your insights on how returnable-based systems can support just transition and further foster circularity. Please, can you stay for the Q&A that's coming next? That would be great. I'm sure there's also going to be many questions you can address. But before moving to the Q&A session, that's what's coming next. Joan, Marc, Miquel, I would like to invite you both, or one of you, whoever you want, to add something if you want before the Q&A session. Would you like to make some final remarks?
Sure. Yeah, I think that to put it in perspective, I was saying in my 2 minutes that every day, every minute, 2 million empty beverage containers, single use, are lost in the world every minute. If we translate this into daily figures, we're talking about 4,000 million cans, bottles, and bricks that they end up lost in our environment, in our planet, whatever it is. And 85% of those lost of those beverages that we sell every day, they are sold in single-use containers. So we have 2 huge problems. The first one is that we are in the culture of the single use, and it's very unbalanced. So we need reuse. And the first also, because both are number one problems, is that we only manage to collect 85% of what we consume every day in the planet. Deposit return systems, what they do is they make sure that mostly everything goes back to a place where they are either prepared to be reused or prepared to be recycled. And when you set up a deposit return system, ideally you have to do it in a way that this will facilitate also fair competition between the reusable containers and the single use. So many people in this platform, they are really pro reuse, and they're in this platform because they believe that first we need to make sure that nothing is lost, that nothing ends up littered in Titicaca Lake, like I've seen with my own eyes, or in next door outside. And second, that there is a good balance between what is being recycled and what is being reused, because nowadays it's completely unbalanced. Years ago, everything was reusable. Nowadays, mostly everything is single use. So at least what we need to do is to balance this. And the way of doing it is selling everything with a small deposit. So everyone brings back the empty cans and bottles to the shop, and the consumer will has the right to choose whether he wants a reusable container or a single use. But we need to incentivize for sure the reuse, because reuse, we are seeing this in the Global Plastic Treaty, it will come like a tsunami. We need reuse. We can't be thinking only in single use. Reuse will come all over the place. So let's make sure we collect everything and we have a good balance between single use and reuse. Thank you, Martin.
Thanks, Miquel, and thanks to all the speakers. It's been a great privilege to hear all those experiences and insights today. And now we have about 10 minutes. So what we are going to do now is move to the Q&A session. So we have the questions here. I will read them and share with the speakers so they can address them. So the first one says, what is your opinion on the impact that this model could have on the waste pickers community, even though the results are environmentally positive? What happens with the social aspect? I don't know if the guys, if Leo and Pedro have heard this in Spanish. I can translate it. Otherwise, it says, ¿cuál es su opinión respecto del impacto sobre este modelo?
Sí, gracias por la pregunta. Sí, justamente, nosotros partimos de la idea de que es un tema socioambiental. Entonces, tenemos que resolver la parte ambiental por un lado y la parte social por otro. Entonces, desde los proyectos, justamente, el impacto mayor es en los colectivos vulnerables de los problemas ambientales. Entonces, incorporarlos, incluirlos, tiene que ser una clave también de cómo hacer el abordaje del problema. Tienen que ser parte de la solución. No es dejando personas atrás cómo se logra resolver esa situación. Entonces, sí que es costoso, sí que es una definición que es necesaria, pero justamente así es como se puede garantizar la sostenibilidad de las respuestas, con inclusión social y respuesta ambiental.
En concreto, en el sistema, nosotros diseñamos hace relativamente poco una propuesta junto con, bueno, ahí Martín y Miguel apoyaron un poco fuertemente ese trabajo, donde en el sistema las poblaciones vulnerables eran parte del sistema. El sistema tiene distintos componentes, incluido sensibilización, trabajo con la comunidad, comunicación, en conjunto de asuntos que el sistema tiene que abordar. En muchos de ellos, los grupos vulnerables son parte. Por eso la formación de la que hablaba Pedro es tan importante. Tienen que estar a la altura de las exigencias de un sistema que tiene que ser sostenible, ambiental, pero social y económicamente. Entonces, para nosotros están adentro de la solución, no afuera.
Y que no sean solamente parte de mano de obra barata y de la base de la pirámide, sino que sea en una perspectiva calificar y incluir cada vez más a ese grupo de personas.
Thank you, Pedro and Leo. There is a lot of questions. Due to time constraints, we are going to read 2 more questions, or 3 maybe, if we make it with the time. But then we will definitely respond those remaining questions through an email, and we will share that as well. So the next question says, I would like to ask if the design of plastic packaging is a crucial factor in ensuring the effectiveness of a deposit return scheme. For example, here in Kenya, buying virgin plastic is often cheaper than recycling. Could you share insights on how this challenge has been addressed in other countries? Maybe Jean-Marc, Miquel, want to address that question?
Yes, I can do it very quickly. Yes, the design of the packaging is crucial. If you want designing for single use, it's not the same as designing for packaging that needs to circulate 5, 10, 20, 30 times. And therefore that needs to be taken into account. You cannot use single-use packaging for reuse, and it's not economic to do the opposite either. But that's taken into account, and all this and other information is shared in the resources part of the platform. So you're going to learn this and a lot more when you take the trainings. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean-Marc. Moving to our next question. It says, I am not clear why the focus is on recycling and not reuse, especially for more remote communities such as islands. Recycling seems like a similar problem as waste. There would not be adequate processing facilities, and reuse of containers through our DRS is the ideal approach. Do you want Lucy to respond this question?
Sí.
Since it addresses islands.
Claro, absolutamente de acuerdo que el enfoque tiene que ser, ¿está bien en español? Sí, el enfoque tiene que ser en sistemas de reuso y de retorno. Cuando yo era pequeña, mi mamá me mandaba a comprar leche, yo llevaba la botella y teníamos un refill de leche y así hacíamos antes. Entonces es un poco volver a lo que hacíamos antes. De acuerdo en que el enfoque tiene que ser en reusar, en retornar, y como decía una de las panelistas, reusar, 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 y ya cuando ya se reusó, ahí sí reciclar y tener sistemas para el reciclaje y que no termine perdido en la naturaleza.
Thank you, Lucy. Maybe Tisa, do you want to share some views on this question as well?
I thought it was more of a statement than a question, and I absolutely agree with the statement that in a lot of places recycling doesn't work. It doesn't make sense, especially for islands. Reuse has been, has been developed in the island context. So in Indonesia, right across from Jakarta coastline, there's a cluster of islands that's a tourism spot for the citizens of Jakarta. And basically, we have a partner that's working on a bulk store model on the island with goods that are shipped back and forth from the Jakarta mainland. And that's an interesting case in how even bulk goods, even bulk produce, can be designed to be carried in reusable bulk containers, right? Even the bulk containers themselves should be reusable. Now, I just wanted to highlight something because I've seen how there was a recent The Guardian article on, the rise of refill cosmetics. And when I read it, it was about cosmetics, nice fancy brand cosmetics being refilled with these refillable single-use pouches that you also buy as single use. So when a refill is a single use, is delivered through a single use pouch, that defies the purpose, right? So with islands, we've seen how the refill, the bulk refill carried to the island is also a reuse model, and the containers that the consumers use to buy the produce from the bulk is also a reuse container. So there's the B2B reuse and the B2C reuse, which is a really interesting case study.
Thanks, Tisa, for sharing that. There's one question from Hanne Svenningsson. It says, hi, thanks for hosting this webinar. Can you elaborate a bit on the funding and organization of the platform? Jean-Marc, do you want to take the stage?
Sure. So far, this platform is been financed with their own resources and with the help of the 11th Hour Foundation. But going forward, we're going to be looking into ways to finance not only the work of the platform, but also the work on the ground, because we're going to need lots of support if we want to actually make this happen in as many countries as possible.
Thank you, Jean-Marc. And we will have our last question now from Priyati Yagwani. I am in India. Anybody can comment if anybody is working or connected to DRS in India. We'd also love to connect if anyone can guide on DRS solutions to start in India as policy changes on DRS is started in India. Anyone who would like to respond to this question?
Yes, India members are part of the Asia Reuse Consortium. We have reuse actors in India. I'm actually stalling because there's quite a few contact names and I don't know which one to give you. But what's the best way to do this? I'll just answer.
We will make sure to post these answers and contacts.
Okay.
So I will suggest that the person asking this question can contact us through the QR code also, so we can forward those contacts directly, if that's okay. But if you want to mention it, Tisa, go ahead.
Yeah, so our representative from India, who's also a co-convener of the Asia Reuse Consortium, is called Pinky Chandran, a wonderful lady. And I can connect you to her, and she can connect you with many reuse players in India.
Thank you very much. We will make sure to forward that information. And do we have a last question? Miquel, would you like to make a point?
Yes, just a point.
Okay.
Thank you, Martin. It is deposit return systems for reusable containers, for single-use containers. They are collection systems, and we need to implement them because we need to collect everything, the reusable ones and the ones that are for recycling. Then there has to be policies to ensure that we don't lose completely reuse, and reuse is increased, and there is this trend of going to single use that we are now, to balance this, as said. But DRS is to make sure that everything is collected. We have a collection system. We need to close the tap of all the cans, bottles, and bricks that are lost in the environment every day. That's why we need to implement them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miquel. So I think since we are over the time now, we will wrap up, and I would like to share some short takeaways from today's session. 4 points that we have summarized. First, there is a great opportunity to develop new DRS models that are tailored to local realities, especially in the global south, but having this systemic and holistic approach that many of the speakers have highlighted before. We've seen that deposit return systems that are well designed can provide real social, environmental, and economic impacts. Also, this platform supports the global expansion of inclusive and effective DRS systems by bringing together knowledge, resources, and key stakeholders while fostering local leadership. And finally, that the time to act is now, and that we need to work together. So we will looking forward to your contacts and to start connecting towards promoting these solutions. This is just the beginning, and making this happen requires strong and active collaboration, as we have said throughout the event. That is why, before closing, please, I would like to share the QR code again on the screen. So those who haven't scanned it can do it now. We will be waiting for your questions or connections or inquiries there, and we'll make sure to respond them in the next days. On behalf of the Global DRS Platform, I want to sincerely thank you all the attendees for being here, and especially to the panel and speakers, especially to those that are standing up still in the evening, late in the evening, from Asia, and for sharing their experiences during this event. Let's continue building this movement together, and see you all soon. Thank you very, very much.